The first wave came without warning. When the crawl vessels appeared over Earth's major cities, humanity had barely taken its first tentative steps into the solar system. The alien ships hung like obsidian daggers against the sky, their hulls absorbing light rather than reflecting it. For 3 days they observed. On the 4th day, they attacked. Earth's militaries fought valiantly but hopelessly outmatched. The Crawl war machine had conquered 17 galactic civilizations before encountering humans. To them, Earth was simply the 18th addition to their empire, a minor footnote in their 1,000-year expansion. Another primitive species, Admiral Drav, had reported to the Crawl High Command. Technologically undeveloped but physically resilient, they will make adequate laborers for the mining operations on their lunar satellite. The Crawl had encountered many species during their conquests. Some possessed telepathic abilities, others could manipulate energy fields, and a few had even mastered faster-than-light travel before the Crawl arrived. But none had what humans possessed: sheer, unbridled stubbornness. When the Crawl established their first labor camp in what was once Nebraska, they expected compliance. What they got was Tom Miller, a former construction worker who fashioned a makeshift explosive from mining equipment and took out 3 Crawl overseers before being vaporized. Isolated incident, Drav noted in his report. Security protocols adjusted. 6 days later, 53 humans overpowered their guards using tools they had modified into weapons during their shifts. They commandeered a shuttle before being shot down over Colorado. No survivors. Troubling pattern, Drav amended. Recommend increased neural pacification. The neural pacifiers worked for a while. Then Dr. Anna Wilson, a neurologist who had survived the initial invasion, discovered that a specific frequency of ultrasonic sound disrupted the devices. The resistance spread the information using an old-fashioned method the Crawl monitoring systems overlooked: handwritten notes. 3 years into the occupation, the first Crawl warship was captured by a human resistance cell led by Jack Davis, a former airline pilot who had spent his captivity memorizing Crawl ship operations while pretending to be more thoroughly mind-controlled than he was. Impossible, the Crawl Council declared when informed of the loss. Their species lacks the cognitive capacity to operate our technology. But humans, as it turned out, were remarkably good at figuring things out when their survival depended on it. By year 5, humanity had gone from defending Earth to taking the fight to Crawl outposts in the solar system. Mars fell first. They had the mining colonies on Jupiter's moons. They adapt too quickly, Drav warned. His final transmission before the human-piloted ships he had dismissed as primitive attempts at spacefaring surrounded his command vessel. They learned from every encounter. They improve. The Crawl had never encountered a species that improved so rapidly under pressure. Other conquered civilizations had either broken or fought conventional wars of attrition. Humans did neither. They observed, adapted, and came back stronger after each defeat. In the 8th year, a team led by Dr. Wilson reverse-engineered the Crawl faster-than-light drive. Humanity expanded beyond their solar system, not as explorers, but as liberators. We're not just fighting for Earth anymore, General Davis told his fleet commanders. We're fighting for every world they've enslaved. The liberated species were stunned. Many had been under Crawl dominion for generations. Some had forgotten their own histories. All had believed the Crawl to be invincible. How? Asked an elder of the Trell, a crystalline species whose homeworld had been stripped for resources centuries earlier. How did you defeat them when all others failed? We never accepted defeat, replied Lisa Brown, commander of the Earth Liberation Fleet. Not even when we should have. By the 15th year, the tide had fully turned. Human-led coalition forces pushed deeper into Crawl territory, freeing world after world. The Crawl, for the first time in their 1,000-year expansion, found themselves retreating. When coalition forces finally reached Krallis Prime, the Crawl homeworld, they expected a desperate last stand. Instead, they'd found a civilization in disarray. The ruling council had collapsed months earlier, unable to comprehend, much less counter, the strategic innovations of their human adversaries. We studied your history, explained the last Crawl admiral as he surrendered his fleet. Your species has fought more wars against itself than we have fought against the entire galaxy. You were bred for this. We were not. In the aftermath, humanity could have established its own empire. Many of the liberated species expected them to. Some even welcomed the idea, believing that human rule would be preferable to Krull oppression. Instead, Earth proposed the Galactic Cooperation Treaty, establishing a council where all species, including the remaining Krull, would have representation. We didn't fight to replace one empire with another. President James Wilson addressed the first gathering of the council. We fought because every sentient being deserves the freedom to determine their own destiny. The Krull observers watched in puzzlement. Their species had conquered because conquest was efficient. Cooperation required compromise, which they had always viewed as weakness. As they observed humanity turn enemies into allies and build in decades what had taken the Krull centuries to achieve through force, a new understanding began to form. Perhaps, noted a young Krull diplomat to her colleagues, there is something to learn from these humans after all. Across the galaxy, on worlds the Krull had stripped bare and species they had nearly extinguished, monuments arose, not to human military might, but to human persistence. To the species that refused to accept its place in the galactic hierarchy, to the primitives who pushed back when they should have bowed down, to the humans who had overturned a millennium of history by simply refusing to stay defeated.